Welcome back, beautiful souls. Today, we're stepping into a sacred space of truth, alignment, and absolute spiritual autonomy. We look around at the world right now and we see the division, the judgment, and the heavy collective noise pulling so many down into fear. But as a lightworker, a healer, or an empath, your gifts were not given to you to be swallowed by the dark. They were given to you to illuminate it. In this episode, we're diving deep, real deep, into your spiritual sovereignty. I'm going to share exactly how to keep your frequency high, protect your psychic energy, and stand unshakable in your power. Because your soul's journey is far too important to be derailed by anyone else's opinion. Let's strip away the societal programming, silence all that mental chatter, and reclaim your light. This is Christopher Reburn, and welcome to another podcast adventure. I don't believe in paying for advertising of my podcast because I think that's kind of cheating. Those that are meant to hear this podcast will hear it, but you can help by liking and subscribing to this channel. Let's begin. I want to talk about protecting your energy and your healing gifts, because your spiritual frequency is your personal responsibility, not a reflection of world chaos. So what this means is it's your responsibility to keep your spiritual frequency in a safe zone. And of course, your spirit guides, your angels, your loved ones in heaven, your ancestors are all backing you up, are all trying to give you that needed strength that you need right now. And I believe if you're listening to this podcast right now, you're exactly where you should be in this moment and time and place. And protecting that spiritual frequency with all the chaos that surrounds us in this world today should be one of your number one priorities. Just because it's dark all around doesn't mean your spiritual frequency has to go into that darkness as well. It is absolutely your responsibility to keep your spiritual energies safe, content, growing, and flowing. There's a lot of hostility around us these days, and that external hostility cannot dim your inner light unless you grant it permission to enter. And if you let that hostility come into your heart, come into your soul, come in through your ears, come in through your eyes, through your heart, then you're giving it permission to enter. Now, I'm not saying this is easy, because you wake up and you turn on the news, don't do that. You're already setting your day to fail by reading the newspaper first thing, by turning on CNN or any news station first thing. You're setting yourself up to fail for the day, because everything on the news is depressing. And when you look into it and you read up on it, you're essentially putting all that dark energy right at the beginning of the day or any time of the day. Tune the news off, turn the news off, tune it out, focus on why you're here and what you're here to do to help yourself and to help others along the way. Never grant that negative energy, that hostile energy that's seemingly everywhere. Never give it permission to enter. Because once it does, your light dims, your vibration goes down low, and then you become miserable to be around. Nobody likes to be around a negative thinker, do they? It doesn't help anything or anybody. The spiritual gifts that we have require stronger boundaries, especially during times of heavy global collective energy. So what that means is you have to take yourself seriously. You have to take your gifts and abilities, your healing, your spiritual journey All of that is a big priority, and it should become even a bigger priority when there's so much difficulty going on in the world. Because those of you like me that have strong psychic abilities and mediumship and healing and animal communication and remote viewing, all sorts of light working abilities, you have to. It's your responsibility to keep all of that safe and secure while still trying to understand all the chaos and negativity that's all around us these days. You have to have stronger boundaries to protect those gifts and abilities so that you can continue helping others with them. When you feel judgment surrounding you, your healing energy must become a shield, not a sponge. When you've had enough, let's say, your friends call you, but sometimes they only call you when something chaotic is happening in their life. They won't call you out of the blue. How you doing today? Just wanted to call to check in. No, they call and all of a sudden, my God, 10 minutes into the conversation, you want to jump off a bridge. So you have to take stronger boundaries and realize, you're not a therapist. No, nor is anybody requiring that of you from the universe or otherwise. Sometimes the best thing you can tell a dear friend is to seek therapy from a professional, especially if you're feeling under the weather, and especially if people only call you when they want to bitch about something or complain about something. Never any other time but when sucks for them. And suddenly, you listen to them, you try to be sympathetic and compassionate, but in the same while, you're letting all that energy in. And by the end of the conversation, you're done for the day. Literally, it's time just to turn off the lights, close up the house, and go to bed. You should never let yourself fall prey to that for anybody in your life. You don't owe your peace of mind to any chaotic or angry environment, and nor is it required of you to participate in one. It feels like so many people today are so immediately responsive to something that they don't like. Someone is more likely to complain about something that rubs them the wrong way than they are about something that they thoroughly enjoy. And you really can't say anything anymore without somebody getting offended or someone taking it to heart, and they feel like they have to attack, they have to bully, they have to make you feel small, when all of that is just a reflection of how small they are, and they don't know any better. God bless them. Pray for the weak. Pray for the dim-witted and small-minded, because aren't they just everywhere anymore? An unkind world needs your high vibration, but it does not get to consume it. So you have to focus on what you can do to still help the planet, to still help the animals, to still help your fellow brothers and sisters, because we are all brothers and sisters. It doesn't mean we have to like each other, but it should mean that we should give each other the respect that we're all entitled to. Unfortunately, the world is changing so quickly, and fewer and fewer people actually believe that. But that doesn't mean you can't believe it. And that doesn't mean you can't teach other people to believe it. And just because the world may feel unkind, it doesn't mean your heart has to darken. It doesn't mean you have to be unkind or judgmental or be a bully just because someone doesn't see it the way you do. Could you imagine how small the world would be if everybody thought the same thing? If everybody supported the same thing? And I mean, there would be no variety. And sometimes variety is healthy, especially if that variety is helping the planet, not destroying it. So many of us are very active psychic, have very active psychic energies around us constantly. And when you're giving readings to other people, when you're giving psychic readings, spiritual readings to other people, you have to protect your psychic sensitivity. And that requires a daily intentional practice of energetic anchoring, where you literally have to anchor yourself into the moment every single day to make sure you're on your A game, to make sure that you don't let other people's energies bleed into your energy fields. And all of a sudden, you're just exhausted and the day has just begun. When somebody tells me, "Oh, Christopher, I've only been awake for an hour and I'm ready to go back to bed again. I just can't stomach this world." Automatically that tells me that person is not properly grounding themselves. If you're properly grounding yourself, you're doing the work on yourself, you're meditating every day, you're praying every day, then you're going to be grounded. You're going to be able to handle an entire day. And then as it gets closer to bedtime, you'll start feeling a little bit tired. That's normal. But if you wake up in a half an hour, hour, 2 or 3 into the day, you're already feeling like the day is just completely devastated and over. Then you're not grounding yourself properly, and that's something to focus on. Your energetic anchoring, because it will make life more bearable. It will make life more doable. If somebody gets up and within the first hour or so they just want to go back to bed again, you have to work on that grounding. You have to work on meditation. You have to work on praying. You have to work on yourself. Because a lot of people, we all are a work in progress. None of us have it all figured out, despite the fact that some people believe they do. We're all students in this game of life. Your gifts, your spirituality is all meant to uplift humanity, not to absorb the world's collective pain. So when you're using your spiritual gifts, when you're trying to help other people with your healing, when you're trying to help other people with your compassion, and compassion is a gift, empathy is a gift. And it seems to me that more and more people are losing those gifts for one reason or another. So don't worry about everyone else. Just make sure you don't lose your humanity and that you don't lose your empathy. Because those are gifts that are meant to uplift us all. When people lash out, when people try to bully you because you're different or because you live your life a certain way, and they lash out at you to bully you, it's a reflection of their own pain, not your value. If you make a lot of changes in your life, if you transform your life, and people say things that are not supportive, it shows you the people who profited off your pain that do not want to celebrate your new changes because all of a sudden you're too much. Those are the poor souls that are just judging on the sidelines, that have no idea how to work on themselves or are too lazy to try. So when that happens, you kind of have to judge the source and say, I wouldn't go to you for any advice. So why would I care what you think? Why would I care what you say when you're not even in my circle of people that I would even go to if I needed help? So don't let other people's opinions of you cause you to feel weaker or to cause you to feel that you're not good enough. Because some people are so sad, and some people are even worse than sad, and they consider themselves to be hopeless. It's easy to feel hopeless because then you don't have to take any accountability. You don't have to work on yourself because you're hopeless. That's what people like to say, but it's a lazy excuse. When you just give up, when you just don't want to do any more work on yourself, and people say, I'm hopeless. You're not hopeless, you're lazy. And the hard work that we have to do on ourselves doesn't come easy. But when you get through those dark nights and you work on yourself and you really open yourself up to be incredibly vulnerable to that pain, to that trauma that's not helping you to move forward, when you can finally dig deep into that and really get to the inner reason why you are the way you are, and you're able to shift through that, that's when you feel your power. That's when you feel everything and see everything a lot more clearer. And that leads me to the second segment of this podcast, where I really want to talk more about transcending judgment and unkindness. Because today we're really talking about spiritual sovereignty and really focusing on keeping your energy high and not lowering, not dimming your energy because of the energies throughout the world right now. Other people's judgment is simply a projection of their own internal spiritual blocks. So if you feel judged by somebody, or if someone feels that they just have to tell you how they feel, oh my God, it's just so important that they get it off their chest. And their judgment comes across as jealousy. Their judgment comes across as them intentionally trying to lower your frequency because they just can't stand it that you're succeeding in life. They just can't stand it. And it's so sad to be people like that just can't celebrate you. They have to kind of keep you back in that vulnerable position where they could profit from you the most. So when other people's judgment comes across, um, you don't have to accept it. You don't have to give it permission to enter into your heart and your mind. Thank you for your opinion. Now you can go away. Or you could say any other expletive that you feel is worthy of that particular situation. My grandmother always said to me, you can't always be classy when you're defending yourself. You can't always use good, proper language when you're defending it. Sometimes you really have to go balls to the wall to put your position out there, to put your boundaries out there. Sometimes people don't listen to niceness. Sometimes you kind of have to let that inner bitch out in order to prove your point, to set a boundary for someone to really hear you. Because a lot of people aren't used to you having rules. A lot of people aren't used to you having boundaries. And all of a sudden they have to follow these rules and boundaries. And life is just so pitiful for them because they're not allowed to get away with these things anymore because you've matured, you've gotten stronger. You can't wait for the world to become kind before you decide to be at peace. You have to focus on your peace now. You have to focus on the things that are right for you now, the things that make you feel peace, the things that give you spiritual rewards. And only you know what those things are. They could be easy things, like going for a hike in nature, sitting next to a waterfall, going swimming, hugging a tree, going to a nursing home and reading to the residents, or doing any number of volunteer work at Veterans Hospital, at Children's Hospitals. There's so many different things people could do if they wanted to do it. And you can't force people to do anything, but you can certainly offer the opinion of what could be helpful to inspire people. So many people have come to me, oh, Christopher, my life is so awful. My life is just so bad. And then I send them to Walter Reed, or I send them to a children's hospital or a veterans hospital, and they see what real hard life is all about. And all of a sudden they begin counting their blessings. All of a sudden they realize that life for them isn't as bad as they've worked their mind and their brain into letting them believe it is. Approval from others is a temporary illusion, but your soul's alignment is eternal. So I think trying to seek approval from other people is setting yourself up deliberately to fail. The only ones that you need to seek approval from is yourself and God. Your angels and your guides already love you. God loves you. Anybody in your life that authentically loves you or has ever loved you will always love you and will always be there for you unconditionally, through the good, through the bad, through the thick, through the thin. Always. True spiritual mastery means staying centered when the external world is completely off balance, like right now, like for the past number of years. And you have to focus on what gives you peace. You have to focus on what helps you stay in your spiritual corner. And it's okay to go back into your spiritual closet for a while and regroup yourself and focus on what's next for you spiritually and psychically. What other light working gifts and abilities do you want to explore so that you can help others with them? People who hate each other are operating from deep fear. not from true power. To all the people that are so hateful to people who they don't understand, people whose lifestyles are different than theirs, people who love different people, people who have different colors, people that have different sexual identifications, different genders, and people like to hate on people like that. I've never understood that, because isn't one of the most basic tenets of Christianity is not judging others? It is. And that's something I try to remind people. When the other day someone said to me, well, I don't understand all these transgender people. I just don't. Well, you don't have to understand it, do you? Move on. Move on. Focus on something that you do understand. Nobody has to understand everybody, but we should celebrate everybody's differences. Whoever, regardless of who they are, who they identify as, who they sleep with, what they have between their legs, it shouldn't make any difference. Respect is something that comes for free. Empathy is something that's free. Compassion is something that's free. And we should extend that. And those are some things that I think a lot of people right now are lacking. It's so easy to hate somebody just because you don't understand them. Well, why do you feel that you have to understand them to love them? This is the big ball of confusion for me. You don't need to convert or fix judgmental people to stay true on your path. I think every time somebody comes across somebody who's judgmental or hateful of hate or a bully, they feel that they personally have to convert them or to fix them. And the problem is not yours to fix. The problem is not yours to fix. It's everybody has their own soul searching to do. And a lot of people really need to get right, because we all have a judgment day, and all these acts of evil that people are doing, and all of this evil that people are supporting, one day it will all have to be answered for. And do you know when that day comes? That day comes when your physical body takes its last breath of air and you die, and your spirit goes to heaven. But your spirit's not going immediately through those pearly gates. Your spirit is going to be detained for a short while, or perhaps a long while. Depends on how evil you are. Depends on how much evil and bullying and racism and awful things that people do. And you have to answer for every single instance that you've committed those, when you've done those things. And I look at a lot of people and I'm thinking, it's going to be years after you die before you actually get to go through the pearly gates and see your loved ones. That's hell, isn't it? That's a level of hell where you're so close to being reunited with your loved ones, but you can't go through the pearly gates until you understand why you did what you did. It's a heavy pill to swallow. Heavier for some than others. An opinion is just noise when compared to the absolute truth of your soul. Everybody has an opinion. Everybody has a butthole too. It doesn't mean you have to care about it. It doesn't mean you have to get suckered into believing their opinion or letting their opinion have any kind of value in your life. Everybody's entitled to an opinion, but it doesn't have to take up space in your head. It doesn't have to mean anything. When you respond to hostility with a steady frequency, you break the cycle of anger. So when you respond to hostility with kindness, with a flat line opposed to like the up and down line when someone's having a heart attack on the EKG machine, when you respond to hostility with kindness or a level of energy that's very sturdy, very firm, but not hostile, not bullying, you're responding back with calmness, with politeness. This is the only way to handle it if you're ever approached personally in a moment of somebody being hostile with you. And again, nobody should tolerate any disrespect from anybody. If someone starts being shady with you, if someone starts being not very nice to you and talking to you and giving you all these backsided compliments, then it's time to break that cycle altogether. It's time to free yourself from that person being in your life, because your journey is uniquely yours and it doesn't require validation from anybody. I think this is something as children we may be taught incorrectly, that, oh, you have to be nice to everybody, and everybody's so generous and everybody is so kind. We know as adults that's not true. We know as adults that's not true. And because you're unique, because every single person is different. I've never met two people that are exactly alike, and even twins and triplets. I've never known two people who are so exactly alike. So just remember that your journey is all about your journey, and it doesn't have to be validated by anybody. If you're looking for outside validation because you think that's going to make your life easier, you'll be waiting for a while, and the results that you get are probably not going to be worth a damn. So you need to accept yourself. You need to do soul searching and dive real deep into yourself to accept yourself. Other people, whether they accept you or not, that's not your problem to fix. It's also not your issue to care about. The world's division is a loud reminder of why lightworkers chose to be here. Lightworkers, like many of you, like myself, and like many of you listening, lightworkers were here to spread their light, to spread that beautiful energy, to light the dark. And you can acknowledge global suffering without allowing it to dismantle your inner sanctuary. Because we all have an inner sanctuary. Some of ours are a bit more developed than others because we've spent years developing that inner peace. We've spent years trying to become more spiritually disciplined with our daily meditations so that we can keep our mind, body, and spirit clear, or as clear as we possibly can. A shadow in the world only proves the absolute necessity of your steady light. And you have to keep that steady light glowing and flowing at all times. Because different seasons, different times of life are cosmetic invitations. Cosmetic. Let's all have cosmetic surgery. I'm talking about cosmic invitations to deepen your trust in divine timing. Every stage of life for every single person is different. Sometimes some of us are going through some of the same things in life. So there's similarities that can often deepen a friendship or a relationship. But always be open to that divine timing for any changes in your world. And as long as you try your hardest to stay spiritually, to keep spiritual during dark times, it means looking past the chaos and seeing and visioning the bigger picture of that peace that will come, of that peace that will arrive. I think some people are looking for all the answers to their problems to manifest for them. And they feel they've struggled for years, so whatever happens, God is supposed to do the rest. Oh, if it was only that simple. It's only that simple. We have to do a lot of strong work on ourselves, in ourselves, to ourselves, for ourselves, by ourselves, in order to really develop that peace within. And true peace is not the absence of trouble. It's not the absence of frequent bouts of feeling insecure, but it's about the presence of your divine connection. And some people are wasting it. And that connection is so sacred to waste, to abuse, to just let it be. And true peace is the ability to understand the chaos, the negativity, the hostility that's around us, but still continue to trek forward in life, to still keep finding your way each and every day because you know your light can be helpful, life-changing, and life-saving for other people. Every single challenging global event is an opportunity to practice radical compassion from afar. Whether it happens in this country or another country, practicing compassion and sending that compassion to another territory, to another world, to another place, shows how secure you are in your spirituality and in your life, how strong your heart is. Your spiritual practice is tested most when the environment around you is difficult. So if you feel things in your world are changing, it's because they are. If you feel your energy is becoming, if you're feeling a bit more exhausted and overwhelmed because of the energy changes around you, then that's another validation to keep trying to ground yourself, to keep clearing yourself, and doing your meditation and doing your daily prayers. Now we're moving into the second to last section of this podcast that I wanted to talk about, and that is the power, your power of your sovereign journey. Your spiritual evolution is by far more important than anyone else's misunderstanding of you. Why you're here is so important. And for people that don't understand you, that don't understand your gifts and abilities, they don't have to. And you don't have to care. And that's something that takes a long time, to not care what other people think. It doesn't come early in life. It comes after you've survived life. And then you suddenly feel less uninspired by people and their opinions. It just doesn't matter. It's just static noise that has no value. And when you reach that place, you really, truly can consider yourself successful. You don't need to explain your path to people who choose to stay blind. I think that's what people do, and they miss the mark because they feel like they have to explain their choices to people. You don't. Your choices are your choices to make. Whether they're good, whether they're bad, that's on you. Those are your choices to make. And to defend your choices, I think if you feel that you have to defend your choices, well, you've already lost your foundation. You've already lost your platform. Because when you stand firmly in your truth, you quietly and very genuinely give others permission to do the exact same thing. And essentially, you show them that they can do it as well. The noise of the crowd fades when you tune in to the whispers of your soul. When you start focusing on that energy deep in your soul, all the outside noise becomes exactly that. It's of no value. It's of no importance. And you start tuning it out even further. And things that used to really rattle you, the pettiness of others, it just becomes so unimportant, so irrelevant, that it just doesn't matter anymore. Your alignment with the divine is the greatest gift you can offer a broken world. And this world is very broken right now. It's not going to be forever, but right now, this world is heartbreakingly broken. The moral compass of the world has shattered into a gazillion pieces, but it will get put back together again. These things take time, and so much damage has been done. Walking a solitary spiritual path is always better than getting lost in collective negativity. And I see a lot of posts on Instagram and um, Facebook, and it's a lot of it is just complete distractions. And I think it's good to stand up for what's right, but you also have to live your life, and you can't get swallowed up into every single thing. You have to pick your battles carefully. Um, I've watched a lot of people totally ruin and dismantle their following on social media because every single post is political. Everything is just taken over their lives, and they've lost their way because of it. Pick your battles carefully. This world wasn't put here for you to fight with every single breath, every single day. You were built to withstand this specific earthly transition with grace and with strength. And I think we all want to change the world. Many of us have, many of us will continue to do. But you don't have to wake up every single day ready to fight for something or for someone. You have to live your life and find that inner peace and find that balance that really, really, really works well for you. And know that your power returns the exact moment you stop caring about fitting into society and societal programming. I think over the course of life, people believe that they have to fit in to society, that they have to do what society allows, what society believes. It's a very small, dim-witted way of thinking. It's a very easy way to put yourself in a box, in a very small, tiny box. Not a good way to live. Not a positive way to live, not a spiritual way to live. A sovereign soul answers to a higher truth, not to contemporary social opinions. And that's something many of you listening will do well to remember. Now, in our final segment of today's podcast adventure, I want to talk about some practical grounding for modern lightworkers. I think one of the most helpful things for me, and I want to share this with you as well, is to quiet your mind every single day, to separate your personal voice from the noise of the collective. There's a fine line, and this can really be done with strong meditation, whether it's self-meditation, guided meditation, whatever works for you. But quieting that mind down is the most important thing that you can do to separate that personal voice from the noise around you. And when the ego demands that you fight back, all of your true wisdom chooses to stand still. So we all have to keep that ego in check. And if you're balancing yourself every day, you're grounding yourself every day, you're meditating every day, and clearing yourself and praying every day, then your ego is going to be very healthy. It's going to be in proper check. I think grounding yourself in the present moment completely strips power away from external anxiety. When you can just accept this moment, ground yourself in this present moment, give yourself some concrete foundation to stand on, that's a big plus. That's a really, really big plus. And use your meditation as a real-time anchor rather than an escape from reality, because that really is what meditation is not. Everybody should use their sacred meditation time to anchor themselves, to ground themselves. And remember, meditation is also an act of self-care. And every act of self-care is a powerful vote for light over planetary darkness. Bless those who judge you. Change your your energetic boundaries and keep moving forward. Your breath of life, thank God for that every day, is the fastest bridge back to your center when chaos and disruption swirls around you. I think the biggest message I want to leave today with is to keep your eyes on the horizon of your own soul's purpose and destiny. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Don't look at someone else and think, oh, I wish I was as gifted as he was or she is. I wish I was farther along in life as he is or they are. It doesn't make any difference. That's just static noise. That's of no value. Get yourself back on track and focus on your soul's purpose and destiny. Nothing happens overnight. And that's something to remind yourself with every day when you're setting new goals, new short-term goals and long-term goals. The ultimate victory in a divided world is remaining completely, unapologetically at peace with yourself and everything and everyone around you. Friends, I hope you have enjoyed today's podcast. And I hope that you've made it this far. I hope that you're still listening. Over 40 minutes today. But there was a lot to say. And I really hope some of this rings true to you. And I hope you're able to take some of this away from this podcast today and put it into your own world, into your own life, and exercise some of these things. I want to take a brief minute and say thank you so much for the outpouring of love and kindness and genuine excitement over the relaunch of this podcast, Conversations with Christopher. I feel like we're making up for lost time. And doing this podcast is so enjoyable for me. It's putting me in new people's ears. People that have never heard of me before, people that I've never known before. So I'm grateful for all of the newbies that have joined this spiritual love train. And I've heard from so many of you, Christopher, what can we do to thank you for the podcast? These are great podcasts. We love listening to you. You have such a relaxing voice. What can we do to support you? You can like, comment, subscribe, and share this podcast and this channel. Leave a comment in the section down below, in the comment section, of what you enjoyed the most of this podcast. Subscribe to the channel, like the podcast, like this segment podcast, as episode, whatever it's called. Like I said, I don't believe in paying for publicity. I don't believe in paying for these posts to go viral, but you can help make that happen by liking, commenting, and subscribing. So that power is all up to you. You want to thank me for the podcast? Then that's what you can do to thank me. And I appreciate all of your support. If you want to go a step further, you can join my Patreon page where you can get videos from me. I upload several videos every month, as well as personal live one-on-one live streams with my Patreon subscribers where I answer personal questions, and we have wonderful chats on spirituality, new age, metaphysical, paranormal, real world discussions with real people with real hearts. And also you can visit my official website, my only official website online, at www.thepsychicspirit.com, where you can book email readings with me, phone readings with me, past life readings with me, paranormal photo assessment readings. People send me pictures all the time. Christopher, what is this in my picture? And everything is on the official website at www.thepsychicspirit.com. So those are the three things. If you like my podcast and want to show support, like, comment, subscribe. You can look into my Patreon page where you can join, and visit, of course, my official website at www.thepsychicspirit.com. And also hook up with me on Instagram and Facebook, so you can get more daily inspiration, which this is the purpose of this podcast. And I really feel it's my biggest purpose, is trying to bring hope and inspiration to you. So thanks for listening to another podcast adventure. And be sure to click that bell so that you get a notification the very second I upload the next one. Take care of each other. Take care of yourself. And may God bless you.